Welcome. My name is David Pinter. I'm going to talk us through the major problems that are occurring in education. But before I do so, I want to reassure you that I am aware, and I hope that you are aware, of how amazing the educational institution is, that it provides a learning environment for all children. It doesn't matter what the economic background is, and the incredible development of a comprehensive education, providing education for all, providing an opportunity for people to better themselves. And this is spread globally. And most developing countries recognize that taking their children to school is beneficial for the family because they might be able to learn and thus develop the skills to be able to do jobs that require greater skills, like being a doctor or an engineer. It's the fact that we've moved away from child labour so that under the age of 16 or even 18, no child is expected to do labour, which means that it's extracting them from our current economic system. The fact that schools are incredible places because of the social density. It allows people to gather together with other adolescents and engage one another and find friends. And each class, each lesson, it might be with a different group of people. And so therefore it's a massive social experiment in knowing people beyond your family and the people that you actually know just like neighbours. This is an incredible opportunity. It's also, education is an incredible institution because it attracts people who wish to be of service, teachers who wish to help other human beings, young people to learn, to maybe inspire them and to learn just as they did, or to overcome problems that they themselves did when they were children. There are incredible learning processes that we have learnt in education through academia, proven learning techniques or learning technologies which improve metacognition, improve our ability to learn maths or English, improve our ability to self-determine our learning. There are incredible developments over the last 100 years, even from Steiner onwards. But over the last 50 years, we've had techniques and technologies that have been proven to work and improve our ability to learn. However, and then there's another little bit, which is that I have read some incredible authors who have described the benefit of education all the way back from Rousseau, Emile, and more recently, last century, it was James, phenomenologists like James, Dewey, Deutsch, cooperative learning, Bakhtin, Sean, and most recently that I know of is Dahl, who talks about dissipative control. Okay, and we might talk about those when we're talking about a potential solution. However, these are just descriptions. These are people that have looked at the problem and understood, well, what's the benefit of it? Now, the problems are persistent, chronic, and in some cases acute. I've listed a few of them here, and as you can see, we've got some major problems. I'm going to go from the bottom up. In this case, tabula rasa. We treat children and young people as being blank canvases. Tabula rasa, blank canvases. However, it's not just a matter that we don't plug into what knowledge they may already have. It's also, we're kind of wiping the slate clean regarding their social engagement. So every lesson begins, and it begins formally, everybody paying attention, and you start the lesson, or at least you attempt to start that, as if there is no social engagement between the students. And of course there is. So, So another issue is the fact that the actual syllabus that we deliver, teachers deliver, it's not particularly relevant to the students as far as they understand it. And part of the job of the teacher is to make it relevant and to make them interested, allow students to become interested in mathematics or English or French or whatever the subject is. But the tendency to get the curriculum and to break it down into very, very small pieces and then to just deliver them, lesson after lesson after lesson, and then to somehow or other help the students assimilate this, aggregate it, and then test them. And hopefully the student learns, fairly advanced mathematical or English analysis or historic techniques. However, for quite a lot of students, this process of bite-sized pieces is a little bit like spoon feeding. and after a little while spoon feeding, any child will reject it because they want to take control and feed themselves. Okay, and that's not what's happening in schools and education, not yet at least. Also, another aspect of education is that it is, even though we've managed to find, how collaboration works and how to improve it, we find it very difficult to introduce that into standard secondary school practices. And most of the behaviour that's exhibited in schools is performative rather than collaborative. It is people going through the performance of an actor or a role, whether it's the teacher enacting what a responsible adult is, or a student showing what a good student is, or perhaps objecting to that. Okay, and they're going through the performance of it. It's like it's scripted, and people are just going through the script. And finally, another chronic aspect is the actual role given to a teacher. It involves two quite disparate and potentially mutually exclusive job roles, let's call them. Okay, one is the exercise of control. Okay, in order to establish control and make sure that things go well, the teacher is enabled by the government to impose sanctions upon the students, to, for example, impose detentions, or to remove them from class, or in extreme cases, remove from school. Now that form of control is exercised within the classroom by the teacher. And yet simultaneously, the other kind of job spec for a teacher is to build the relationship with the students in order to encourage and motivate them to learn the subject or the topic. And these are considered soft skills to improve the relationship between the teacher and the students. And of course, to help the students social learn, to help students engage other students within the class. Okay, so one is the imposition of control, and the other one is to somehow or other help and form a relationship with the students. And both of those two, every teacher has to balance. But the actual directives of both of them is actually very difficult to do at the same time. So these are chronic problems in education. Okay, to actually describe what the problems are, the chronic problems are in a system, is mildly interesting at best. Okay, even if we propose solutions, so for example, if we were to recommend that we wish to improve relationships, collaborative skills, we wish to have self-directed learning and project work, and we want to improve social sensitivity, these are really fine objectives. Okay, however, the reason why this is a chronic problem in schools is because although we've discovered ways to improve all of these things, we can't seem to implement them in schools as a whole school policy, as a technique for the whole school, strategy for the whole school. It's because they're supported by these other systems about how we do business, how schools are set up economically in the nation, how we think about mathematics, how we think about how we perform academia, and in fact, even our religious understanding basically supports this system. However, we're going to look at all of those later. We're not looking at this as an academic sense, we're looking at it as a practical sense. If this is the current problem, what's the potential solution? And we're not interested in an academic solution, we're interested in very specific things that we can do. So, we are going to be exploring ABC State, okay, which is a method by which students are encouraged to develop their self-discipline by reflecting upon them the effect of their behaviour on the collective. Okay, so it's shifting from an individual basis to a collective social basis, and it's about providing data to students and a language to students which transforms the practice that they're experiencing in the classroom as well as the role of the teacher itself. Okay? Now, it's based on self-discipline, it's based on improving relationality, it involves more challenging activities, and it's effectively a social test. We'll be talking about this in relation to education, but we're also going to be applying this not only to a bunch of kids in a room, but actually any group of people performing any kind of social function, whether it's A, B, or C, including, for example, how you are engaging this video. Right now, with this introduction, this is quite a traditional method of sharing how, there's like a bullet points and I'm describing it, and for me, it's quite dull. Okay. However, once we start to understand that there are some practices here, it starts getting much more interesting. All right. So if you want to know more detail about education and the problem and the potential solution, then look at the series of videos regarding that.